welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm your host, Winnie.
And I'm Nina.
And I have a question for you, Nina. So last part we were talking about A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it's a play written by Shakespeare.
Yes.
And that leads me to the question, have you ever read a Shakespeare play?
I don't think so. I mean, I spent most of my childhood in Taiwan, so I learned like the Chinese poems. So I don't think I know of any Shakespeare play.
Well, have you heard of the story Romeo and Juliet?
Oh wait, of course I know Romeo and Juliet. That is Shakespeare,
Yes.
right? Well, I've never read it in, the way he wrote it, but I know the story. I think everyone does.
Yeah, and I think Shakespeare did a really awesome thing where he created these two characters, and nowadays when we watch TV, listen to music, watch movies, we see a lot of characters that are inspired by Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, even like the songs by Taylor Swift. Okay.
Exactly. So you'll notice a lot of the media that we watch today is very influenced or very affected by Shakespeare. So you at home probably have read Romeo and Juliet in some form. So
Yes,
congrats,
definitely.
you know Shakespeare.
I mean, there is kind of like a Chinese version of Romeo and Juliet, I believe. There's even a song. But I think most people have heard of it for sure.
Exactly. I think that's probably his most notable, famous work.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to kind of find out what our characters get into
Yes,
in
exciting.
A Midsummer Night's Dream Part 2.
Okay.
The forest is full of fairies. Their king, Oberon, sees Demetrius being cruel to Helena. He calls on his servant Puck to get the juice from a magical flower.
Okay, it's time to get our adventure for the day started with A Midsummer Night's Dream Part 2. Take it away, Nina.
Okay. The forest is full of fairies. Their king, Oberon, sees Demetrius being cruel to Helena.
We've gotten into the story a little bit. We
Yeah.
kind of cut the chasing a little bit. We're introduced to a new character, King Oberon, and he sees something not so good happening.
So Demetrius is being cruel to Helena.
Yes.
I'm guessing because Helena loves him, but he doesn't love her back.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of like in grade school, in elementary school, where if the boy doesn't like you back, he might pull your hair or
I
something.
thought they do that if they do like you.
Boys are weird.
Yeah, I don't understand them. We're aliens.
Yes. So Demetrius is obviously saying, hey, Helena, I don't like you back, okay? And maybe he's also like, stop chasing me.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone, okay? But Helena isn't catching the drift. She's not taking the hint. Yeah, but that's why he's kind of like, okay, let me try and be more obvious. I don't like you. But who sees this? Obviously, King Oberon sees this, and I don't know. I don't think he likes that.
Okay, so he's a king of the fairies, right?
Yeah, so he's king of the forest. He kind of, and I guess he kind of sees everything.
Okay.
Yeah, even though the forest is really big, really wide, a lot of trees, but he sees everything.
Okay, so he doesn't want anyone being cruel to anyone.
Right, and of course, cruel means to be really mean to someone and be really unfair to someone, which we don't want. So, continuing on, he calls on his servant Puck to get the juice from a magical flower. And of course, if you are a king, you have many, many servants. And a servant is someone who serves, someone who attends to you. So if you are a king, obviously you're not going to go and make your hands dirty and pick flowers. So you send your servant, in this case, Puck, to go and collect this juice from the magical flower. And I don't think it's an ordinary type of juice.
Yeah, I think a magical flower would probably produce magical juice. So juice is a liquid from fruits or vegetables. So in this case, it's from a flower. Yes. For example, she drank a glass of orange juice.
Right, and we have the word magical, which means something supernatural. So it's not from nature, not from our Earth at least. So it's something that is very powerful, and we won't necessarily see things that are magical in our real life unless it's maybe a magic trick. So you'll see some magicians, they will like they'll pull a bunny out of their hat, but it looks magical, but we know it's not real.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you guys, it's not real.
But sometimes we could also say that something is magical because it's almost magic-like,
yes.
right? It's so amazing that it's unbelievable. We could say something is magical.
Right, exactly. So we still don't really know what this magic flower does. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看一下刚刚课文里提到的单字跟文法重点。首先来看看单字的部分。Servant 名词，仆人、佣人。The servants cleaned the house every day. 仆人每天打扫房子。Juice 名词，汁液。Tom added some lemon juice to the fish. Tom 在鱼上加了一些柠檬汁。Magical 形容词，有魔力的。Maya wore a magical necklace. Maya 戴着一条有魔力的项链。我们再来看一下文法重点。刚刚课文提到了 call on somebody 要求某人。我们来看看这个例句。The manager called on her team to work harder. 经理要求他的团队更加努力工作。接着我们回到课文当中。
Okay, so now we have, what was it? Helena and
Demetrius.
Okay, so Demetrius is being mean to Helena.
Right.
Okay, and the fairy,
the king
of the
Oberon,
fairies,
yeah.
Oberon, is not liking that. So he's sending his servant to get some juice from a magical flower.
Yes, Puck.
Okay.
Is
Puck.
the name, yes.
Okay, there's so many characters. But
Girl, I know.
I wonder what this juice from the magical flower can actually do.
Well, I wouldn't want to get on a king's bad side,
Right.
let alone a magical king.
Yeah.
So if I were in the forest, I would behave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if this juice from the magical flower will be poisonous towards
Oh, so you're thinking it's like a
Demetrius.
bad juice.
Oh, maybe it's a good juice
I was
for
thinking,
Helena?
yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
maybe, okay.
Right?
Okay, this is very exciting.
Yes, okay.
Let's find out what happens after the break.
Puck must put the juice on Demetrius's eyes when he sleeps. Once he wakes, he'll fall in love with the first person that he sees. That should be Helena. However, Puck finds Lysander and mistakes him for Demetrius. When Lysander wakes, he sees Helena and is instantly in love. She thinks he's joking and runs away.
Welcome back from the break. Before the break, we were introduced to a lot of characters. And how about a recap, Nina?
Oh my.
Testing you.
Definitely a lot of characters. So from the beginning, we have two people who are in love, I believe is Hermia and Lysander. Okay,
Ding,
I
ding,
remember.
ding. Okay.
But Hermia was engaged or supposed to marry Demetrius. Right, that's three characters.
Okay.
However, Helena is in love with Demetrius.
Right, and Helena is whose best friend?
Is Hermia's best friend. Okay, very tricky.
Yep.
And then, but Demetrius doesn't like her back, and they're in the forest, right? Because Demetrius was chasing after Hermia. And then, but Demetrius wasn't nice to Helena because he didn't like her, and the king of the forest and fairies didn't like seeing that. King Oberon? Oberon, okay, Oberon.
I'll count
Close
it,
enough.
I'll count it.
Close enough. And he sent his servant to get this magical juice from a magical flower.
Whose name is?
Puck. All right.
Tens across the board, 100%.
Yay.
That's not bad because it's tricky, especially these names.
Yeah, they're not very common names.
Yeah, we're not talking Bob and Tim.
Yeah.
It's like Demetrius. But yeah, very good. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Okay, so continuing on. Puck must put the juice on Demetrius's eyes when he sleeps. So you were kind of on the right track. The poison or the juice, sorry, is not for Helena. It's for Demetrius.
Okay, so they're going to put it on his eyes when he sleeps. Okay, let's see what it does. Once he wakes, he'll fall in love with the first person that he sees. That should be Helena. Okay, wait. The fact that they said that should be Helena, I feel like it might not be, but let's see if I'm right later.
Let me just say, this is when I tell you that it's a comedy.
Okay, it's a comedy. I can already imagine it. Yeah. So he's supposed to fall in love with the first person that he sees after he wakes. So when you wake is to stop sleeping, right? You open your eyes, you're like, oh, I'm not sleeping anymore.
Right.
For example, I wake up at 7 a.m. every day, which is a lie.
That is a lie.
Complete lie.
But yes, so you were kind of right when you're saying that this is a bad juice. But if we're talking about for Helena's sake, it's kind of a good juice.
Okay.
But it also depends on who he sees when he wakes up.
But I'm curious, how would you feel if the love of your life or the person you are obsessed with falls in love with you, but you know it's not naturally?
I think about this all the time because in a lot of movies, a lot of books, there's always a love potion.
Yeah.
And it starts out great, but those stories usually end up with, it's a cautionary tale. It's like a warning, like, hey, if I give you a love potion, maybe be careful, don't use it. Because that always ends up, I don't know, that always ends up not good.
Yeah, usually there's a price to pay, or the love is almost to a point where it's too much or obsessive that you don't want it anymore, or too fake. I don't know.
Why don't we continue? Because you're kind of getting close.
Okay.
我们来看一下刚刚课文里提到的单字 wake 动词醒来，它的三态是 wake, woke, woken. I wake up early every morning. 我每天早上都很早醒来。接着我们回到课文当中。
Okay, well, needless to say, we're very titillated, so let's see what goes on.
All right.
However, Puck finds Lysander and mistakes him for Demetrius.
Oh no.
Plot twist.
Oh no, that's even more of a twist than I expected.
Yes.
Okay, so Puck finds Lysander. So in this case, Puck is trying to, put this potion on Demetrius, but he instead will put it on Lysander.
Well, put it this way, okay? Back then, they didn't have photographs.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's like, hey, you're looking for a guy who looks like this. No, he's probably like, look for a guy and he has brown hair.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys with brown hair. So we have this phrase, mistake A for B. So in this case, mistake Lysander for Demetrius. And that basically means when you think one person is another, you make the mistake of thinking one person is another. So, King Oberon says, hey, I've got a job for you. You gotta, put those eye drops onto Demetrius. For Puck, he doesn't know these people.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, this guy looks about, maybe...
He's a dude.
He's a dude.
Yeah, the king told me to find a dude.
And he did his job.
Okay, continuing. When Lysander wakes, he sees Helena and is instantly in love. Oh my. She thinks he's joking and runs away.
It's like a soap opera.
It is. Oh my. Okay, but poor Hermia, because the love of her life is suddenly in love with her best friend when he used to love her and they were both in love with each other. Could live happily ever after.
And the web gets even more tangled.
Oh my. Okay, so Helena thinks that Lysander is joking and runs away. So when you joke, it means to say something funny, like, oh yeah, I love you, haha.
Yeah.
But,
Or not serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously, Helena knows that Lysander is actually in love with Hermia.
Yeah.
That's why she thinks
Her
it's
BFF, by the way.
Exactly. So for example, he joked about his bad cooking skills.
我们来看一下刚刚课文里提到的单字 joke 动词开玩笑。Tom joked about winning the lottery. Tom 开玩笑说自己中了彩券。Lottery 就是彩券。文法的部分刚刚提到了 mistake A for B， 把 A 误认为 B。Mistake 的意思是误认、认错，它的三态是 mistake, mistook, mistaken。我们来看看这个例句。I mistook the stranger for a famous singer. 我把那名陌生人误认为有名的歌手。接着我们回到课文当中。
Well, needless to say, this is actually just the beginning.
Wow.
This
Okay,
is just the
Shakespeare.
beginning. Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
Right, exactly. So let's see what these kids get up to in the next episode.
All right, see you then.
The forest is full of fairies. Their king, Oberon, sees Demetrius being cruel to Helena. He calls on his servant Puck to get the juice from a magical flower. Puck must put the juice on Demetrius's eyes when he sleeps. Once he wakes, he'll fall in love with the first person that he sees. That should be Helena. However, Puck finds Lysander and mistakes him for Demetrius. When Lysander wakes, he sees Helena and is instantly in love. She thinks he's joking and runs away.
我们来复习一下这一课的重点单字跟文法。单字的部分 servant 名词仆人佣人 juice 名词汁汁液 wake 动词醒来 joke 动词开玩笑 magical 形容词有魔力的。接着我们来看文法的部分 call on somebody 要求某人 The manager called on the workers to do their part. 经理要求员工们恪尽己职。Mistake A for B， 把 A 误认为 B。People often mistake me for my twin sister. 人们经常把我认错成我的双胞胎姐姐。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，那我们下一次再见喽，拜拜。
Ooh, this is fun.
Kiki, slow down.
Whee!
Kiki, stop. You're gonna...
Whoa.
You see? This is not for playing. This is exercise equipment.
Exercise equipment.
This is called an air walker. So it's not for playing, okay? So Kiki, I think it's time we teach you how to use the air walker.
Okay, well, since we have this exercise equipment here, Winnie, why don't you teach me how to use it?
Okay, yes. Well, this, let me first say, is the air walker, okay? So first, step one, okay? Put your hands on the bar. Okay, check. Now, step two, one by one, it's 1 foot at a time.
Okay.
Make sure you're balanced, you're ready. Then you put your other foot on there. And then 1 foot forward, 1 foot backward. Very good. So you'll notice this is really easy on your joints. It's a low impact form of, endurance cardio. So this is really good for your joints, your hips, and your core.
So it's really like I'm walking on air.
Yeah, there you go. It's air walker. You're actually exercising a lot of your balance muscles, the muscles that you need to balance. So yeah, that's pretty much how you use this machine properly.
And you actually have to keep them both moving. Okay, gosh. Whoa!
There you go. Well, we hope you enjoyed working out with us. Remember to give us a follow on Instagram and DM or email us if you have any questions about how to say something in English. Do you have anything else to say?
See you on the next episode.
Kiwi later.